Okay, I'm now looking for a response. The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, this is indeed a very, very sad day, and I start by saying this. I hope Tony Ryle, the former Minister of SOEs, wherever he may be, is listening very, very carefully to this. No, Mr Brownlee says Mr Nasty. The Mr Nasty in this piece, sir, is a government that ran this company into the ground. In 2000, between 1999 and 2008, Solid Energy was an export award-winning company, delivering hundreds of millions of dollars to the taxpayer. In 2009, the government's first act by the then SOEs Minister was to write to that company and demand more dividends, and as a result of that, they took $164 million worth of dividends from that company. They expected them in that letter, sir, which will be tabled later today, to ratchet up their debt level, which they did, sir, to around, I think, $313 million. And then, sir, when the coal price moved and their own scoping consultants, who were in there to scope Solid Energy for sale, reported back in 2009, 2010 that the ship was heading for the rocks, they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. Their alibi, sir, to the New Zealand people for hundreds of millions of dollars of waste, for hundreds and probably more, further hundreds of workers losing their jobs, sir, is, the coal price devalued. Well, that is true. The coal price devalued, the markets dried up. Any village idiot on that side could have read that, sir, in the paper. The question before the New Zealand people that the government has never answered is a simple one. Why, when they saw that happen, why did they not react? Why did they do absolutely nothing? Absolutely nothing, sir. As far as they opened the lignite, Mr English, of course, the photo of Mr English allowing the outlandish expenditure, opening the lignite plant, sexy coal from Mr Brownlee, that's an oxymoron, allowing outlandish expenditure where management spent till they dropped, where management and executives, particularly the then CEO, was allowed to get a massive golden handshake for sitting at home. Why did they not react, sir? Other coal companies around the world reacted. I've worked in the minerals industry. I've worked there. I know what happens. I know what happens when the commodity price moves. And companies react within days. And coal companies, sir, around the world reacted at the same time within days, sir, and they are surviving and they are profitable today. These people were derelict in their duty. On the 5th of June, 2012, Minister English, then Minister Ryle, put the company under month-to-month close watch, and still they did nothing. There is a pile of paper, metres high, that the government themselves released from Treasury, from other agencies, warning since 2010 that this company was heading to the rocks. And they have never, ever told the New Zealand people why, unlike their international counterparts, they did not react. They blocked every parliamentary inquiry. The only person that's been able to have a quick look at this was the Auditor-General. Yet Mr Brownlee, interjecting, and others, and Mr English, and then Mr Ryle, never, and today Mr Macleay, have never given an explanation as to why they did nothing. No minister, sir, has been accountable. No one resigned. No one was sacked. No one on the board was sacked. No one in the management was disciplined. That is absolutely true. They resigned and they ran as the ship sank. No one was required to go. But the people who paid the price, sir, and are paying today are the hundreds of staff on the coalface, literally, who kept the show on the road. West Coast miners, sir. They could have reacted. What could the government have done? They could have called in the management and the board and said, where's your B plan? Like every other coal company did around the world, and they survived. If the board had said no, they could have sacked the board. No, they did nothing. Or they could have changed the statement of corporate intent, sir, and then put some direction in. They were the tools that this government could have used. And as Mr Brownlee grins away, as people worry about their jobs and other people on the West Coast are looking for jobs as a result of his government's inaction, they will note that down. I say to the government, come clean. I say to the government, for once, since 2009, since taking office, explain to the New Zealand people why you took no action, why you refused to intervene on the board, why you allowed the outlandish expenditure, and why no one, from the government, from the board, from management has ever been held accountable for this. They sit there, sir, as they wasted $389 million of taxpayers' money and point the finger at everybody else. Well, the buck stops with them. They should get up. The Minister of Finance should make a ministerial explanation today and explain why he sat there with Tony Ryle, with the government and the Prime Minister, and let Solid Energy be run into the ground.
Good speech.
Do nothing.